Welcome. Let's have a look and see what's going on. I got to, okay. Welcome to the Anyone Can Farm live chat. I'm Mark, your host. Today's the 7th of November, 2023. And we just cleared a major hurdle. Our big thing of the year, probably one of the biggest things that happens here is the Anyone Can Farm Homestead Hog Harvest. And we pulled that off this weekend. Let me close down a light here or two. Hold on just a sec. Okay. There we go. So that was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this, every year is unique, but this one was unique in several ways. We had 4 people not come that had paid, and they didn't come. 4. And that's never happened before. I don't think we've even ever had one person that paid and then didn't come. I don't think that's happened. So it was kind of strange. We had a very small class, and even with the people that came, we had 6. So it was supposed to be 10, and the class size is 12 to 14. So it was just kind of different, but it was nice because with a lot less people, there was more time to kind of relax and have conversation at lunches and dinners, and we had a really nice time. In the past, when we would have mealtime, we would wind up doing it in the house. So we changed that because we moved to our new butcher shop, and then the old butcher shop we've converted into a store/dining room, and it's still pretty rough. We haven't done much. We moved the equipment out and power washed the floor. That's about it. And so it's still pretty rough, but we fixed it up the best we could, put up some lights, and the girls did just a bang up job of feeding us. And I thought what we would do tonight is we would go over some of the conversations, some of the questions that people asked me, and just to expound on that. And somehow maybe bring that conversation around to where we should be as homesteaders right now, where we should be. A lot of times it seems as though I see things out in front of a lot of other people that are in the same strata as I'm in society. I don't work for an intelligence service. I don't work for a contractor, a military contractor. I'm not in the military anymore. I live on a farm in northern Michigan. I'm really pretty isolated. And I'm like you all, I have a phone, but maybe it differs a little bit in that in my previous line of work, I got to go to other countries and see what was happening. And then maybe I worked with people who were older than me and smarter than me and would explain it to me. And then when I got a little bit older, I was faced with decisions, and I got to decide, well, what do you want to do? Hey, you're getting out of the military. Do you want to go and work for a contract? You want a contractor? You want to go to work for Dynacor or Halliburton or one of those guys? We got plenty of things going on around the world, and I wasn't interested in that, and I'm still not interested in that. I'm more interested in the preservation of life than the business of war. And it is a business. It's absolutely a business. And I'm kind of glad that we had a small class because there's so much going on right now in the world, and it seems like everybody that was in our class because of what's going on. They're trying to get to a place where they're more self-sufficient. So one of the things that came up was prep steading. And I may have been the one that used that term, but it kind of broke the ice. And then people started to open up about why they wanted to learn how to process a pig. And the Anyone Can Farm Homestead Hog Harvest class is focused on processing a pig. But I will say this again, if you can process a pig, or if you have general knowledge of how it's done, if push comes to shove, you can process a lamb or a goat or a dairy cow or a beef cow, whatever it is that you need to process, if push comes to shove. And you could probably do that if you had no training at all. But it's better to get yourself trained when you're not in the midst of crisis, right? So let's say that the wheels fall off, which, I mean, just today, there's been two chunks of information that have rolled down, actually three. And that's not the point of this meeting, but these chunks of information are big. Like the Pentagon announcing that we're going to have an Ohio class submarine, off the coast of Israel. That's big news, you guys. That's big news because we just put nuclear weapons on the table. And so we're getting in a shoving match here. And, if our leadership was sane, they wouldn't do it unless they've got some sort of plan here for, and I think they do have a plan, but I don't think that it's going to benefit us as just, everyday folks that just want to live and feed their family and stuff. So anyway, we could write our congressman, I suppose, but I don't think that's going to do a whole lot of good. So the approach that we've taken is, this is going on like a storm, and how can we batten our hatches down and survive this storm? Now, obviously, if there's some sort of, massive nuclear exchange and you're close to a city, I can't help you. I don't know what to tell you there. But if things get heated up and the supply chain totally gets smashed to bits, or the electricity goes out, or, you name them, a little bit of preparation might be able to take you further until things normalize. And I am still optimistic in the face of all of this. I am optimistic that we are going towards a better world. And I don't know how I keep feeling that way, but I think that you have to learn to trust your gut, or I have learned to trust my gut. And so all I'm doing is saying, well, this is how I feel. And this is a feeling that's coming from in me. And I'm just being honest with you. This is how I feel. I'm optimistic. And I could say, well, because Gavin Newsom's going to be the next president. No, that's not why. I mean, I can't really tell you why. It's just that it's the American spirit seems to be coming out, or the human spirit. And evil is pressing. But I was in the midst of people who were not submitting to evil this weekend. And so I came out of the weekend really energized. And so the thing to do is to discuss some of the conversations that we had. And I'm not going to use anybody's names or anything like that. That's not the point. It's just what's on people's mind, and what are the inputs that I got coming back at me from people that I wanted their opinion, and I'm going to pass their opinion on because it came from somebody that, as they were saying it, I said, yeah, you should listen to this, trusting my gut again. So, prepping, let's say, Autobahn Automotive, fantastic job. Were you here this weekend? Were you that automotive engineer that was here? Lenny Racine's with us. Keith S. Keith was here. Keith was here, all right. I had to kick him in the rear end a couple of times. He's standing around talking too much. He had a good time. People enjoyed his wisdom too. Well, maybe Keith, you're going to have to remind me of some of the conversations that we had. It was actually Jill's idea because, we talked the whole time. When everybody finally left on Sunday afternoon, I collapsed. We came in the house after we cleaned everything up. I mean, these weekends, we have it pretty well down pat. And so we know what we have to do. And everybody stays busy, as far as my staff goes, until everything is done. And we never leave anything big till the next day. We never say, oh, we'll get those dishes tomorrow. No, we do everything. And then we came in, and the kids kind of found their places to go, and people got books, and we're sitting at the camp, the wood stove, and me and Jill tuned in the TV and got some food. We didn't really need any food. I think we were eating just out of recreation. And then 9 o'clock rolled around because we were in the midst of daylight savings time anyway. And so we hit the sack at 9, but it was really 10. But we were worn out. Jill and I were just worn out because you're going all weekend long. And it's not the kind of, well, I don't know. I can't say that getting worn out is bad or uncomfortable. It just is what we do. And then the next day we slept in a little longer than we would have, and then maybe sat at the kitchen table longer talking about the weekend and what we wanted to accomplish this week. And Monday was a pretty low-key day. It was pretty low-key. We didn't do much. We milked the cows and fed the pigs and made sure everybody was taken care of, but then we didn't do much. We didn't do much. And then today, Tuesday, we had to process chickens because we did not process chickens last Friday because we had the class. So we had 150 chickens to do today, something like that. It's just a pretty normal day. But the last customer rolled out of here at about 7 o'clock. So yeah, Keith's saying good food. So I'm really fortunate. It didn't just happen. We wanted it. We want a rigorous, productive lifestyle. That's what we want as a family. And so that's what we've got. That's how we've shaped our life. And so we have plenty of work to do. Now, tomorrow's just kind of like another day. Wednesday, we don't have any commitments for anybody else. And so we are going to work on our stuff. So we're going to start knocking some fences out. And then Friday, and we have homeschool tomorrow too. So the kids are going to be split and gone for most of the day. And then Thursday, we may go help a friend who needs some help, actually Parker Holmes. And I haven't seen old Parker in a while, so we would like to go help him out. And then Friday, we're butchering chickens again. So yeah, we're busy. And then this weekend, I've got 2 pigs that are going out with one of my Romanian customers. So the busyness continues. All right. I'm not going to say too much about the state of affairs in the world. everybody's got a phone and everybody hears it. Big news rolls in. About a half an hour before I went on, the Speaker of the House, the new Speaker of the House, had some things to say. And I didn't listen to the entire thing, but when I heard that he's all in favor of, retaliation against the horrible things that Hamas did, there's only a couple of storylines. There's only Coke or Pepsi. That's the only choices. Oh, I hate Hamas, or oh, I hate the Jews. You can't. There's no. I'm not there. I don't want to play that game. But when he said that a ceasefire is not on the table, that was like a dog whistle to other groups that think that, well, then we're going to start killing some American citizens. So tomorrow could be a different day too, and the next day and the next day. So we're going down a path that doesn't really look good. And how I can remain optimistic is even kind of a mystery to me. But let's talk about some of the things we talked about this weekend. One of the first things we talked about, I don't know, this comes up in processing. It's like, what kind of gun are we going to use? And I have been doing this a long time. I usually have one of those cartridges sitting on the table, but I don't. And the cartridge that we prefer, or that I prefer, is the 22 Magnum Hordney 30 grain VMAX. And I'm like 25 for 25 right now. One bullet, animals down. And in the past, I was working we started with a 22 long rifle. Had pretty good luck with that, but every now and then you'd have a real problem. And so we moved away from that. I went to a 30 M1 carbine. It's the short cased, straight walled 30 caliber bullet. And we had mixed performance out of that. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good, and we'll wind up firing more than one time. And there's a lot of power in that little cartridge. But then I went to the 22 Magnum, and I thought that was the way to go. And finally found the correct bullet, the 30 grain VMAX, and I'm staying right there. And I've got friends that do this too. And so there's always a little bit of conversation back and forth. Oh, the 32 Winchester Magnum. There's no better gun in the world than that. Oh, the 410. You take the 410 and you load it up with 9mm slugs. Nothing works better than that. On and on and on it goes. But the 22 Mag, in my opinion, it's accurate out of a rifle, very accurate. And the 410 isn't. The 32 is basically like a 30-30, but it's a 32 caliber bullet instead of a 30 caliber bullet. And it's a lot of gun. And I'm not on board with that. I'm not going to use a pistol. And I was trained with a pistol. I'm pretty good with a pistol, but I want to use the most effective weapon that's available to me. And I think it's a 22 Mag. If you use a heavier cartridge like a hunting round, like say a 30-06, that bullet's going to just zing through that animal, and it's going to do so much damage to the head. Where 22 Mag, these bullets, very rarely do we ever find the bullet, but they seem to fragment after they get inside the skull cavity, and that animal is just locked solid, and they just go right down. So that was a conversation that we had. Went back and forth. Well, have you ever used a pistol and this and that? All kinds of stories. Sure, I've used 9mm before and had fairly good luck with it. I've used a 45 a couple of times, and yeah, I've had some luck with that. I got a good story. We had a pig out in Montana, and he was a Duroc, and I had him for probably 3, 4 years. And we had a different philosophy on feeding when we lived out there, and he got big. He was a monster. And when his time came, we were going to take him to the butcher. He was a full bore, so he probably wouldn't have been very good to eat. We took him, I was going to load him in a trailer, but I couldn't get him in the trailer. And so I called up my friend Dan Isaacson. He was the butcher that we used at the time. And he said, "Oh, just shoot him and bring him to me." Because Dan was a custom exempt slaughterhouse, so he didn't have an inspector there all the time. And so I did. I shot the old boy, and I brought him up there. But when I shot him with my 45 automatic, my 1911. And I shot him right between the eyes, and he kind of squealed a little bit and then went right back to eating. And I started to get worried that he was going to start to stumble and go down the hill, because we had a really steep hill behind our house that went to a creek. And if he had done that, I did not have a tractor at the time. I had no idea how I would get him up, because he was in excess of 1,000 pounds. And so I went in the house and I got a hunting rifle and I shot him with that. And that took him right down. I don't know, little story about shooting animals. So that was good. And I think a little while after that, we started to talk. Another question that came up was about prepping. And, you guys know my philosophy on prepping is I think that my lifestyle is a preparatory lifestyle. Like, we're always preparing for the next season, for the next storm. And in this case, the preparation that we're doing is for the next storm that's coming. And it is just a storm. This is something that's happening around us. It's like we're not on one side or the other. It's just happening around us. I live in a state that has the biggest population of Muslim immigrants of any state in the Union, I think. And it's in Hamtramck and Dearborn, Michigan. And our state representative has really fired things up there in Washington. Rashida Tlaib, I think she's Palestinian. She's Muslim, whatever. I don't exactly know where she's from, but she's been pretty vocal with rhetoric about how much she hates Jews and, death to Israel and all that stuff. So that doesn't help. And that's right here in Michigan. So I think it's like maybe 45 minutes south of the state capital, which is Lansing. So depending on what happens in the Middle East, it could have direct effect on us here in Michigan. Direct effect. Maybe not this far north, but you never know. You never know. What people do need to think about is whenever you're in an area of concentrated human beings, there may be somebody that sees that as a target. There may be. So for me, I'm staying away from anything like that, any kind of concentration of people, because they're always looking for a body count. They're always looking to get as many people as they can. So anytime there's any kind of gathering, you have to take security into consideration. And I don't think people are at this point, because they don't see the danger signs. You don't see the significance of an Ohio-class submarine off the coast of Israel. You don't see the significance of that. And how could you? How could you? I mean, why would you? I mean, we're not a culture that has dealt with war like other cultures have. So we just don't know. Our civilian population does not know. So when talking about prepping, I said, well, one of the things that works for us is that when there's some sort of storm that hits, we can just close the shutters and wait till lunchtime, and close the shutters and wait till dinner time. Have things set up so we can get out and get some work done, and then maybe batten down again, as if it's a literal storm. Where our counterparts that live in the cities, they still have to go for their grocery run. They have to go into the city. They have to go into concentration centers, and their lifestyle is such that, well, it's Friday night, we got to go see a movie tonight, or let's go see a Red Sox game, or let's go, see a Def Leppard concert, something like that, where our lifestyles change because of the responsibilities that we have on the farm. Number one, we don't go to movies. Why would I anyway? I mean, movies are kind of a pain, actually. I have to go to town and then deal with people in the theater talking while I'm trying to watch a movie. Even if it's a dumb movie, somebody's going to be talking or picking their nose or something. I'd rather be in my own living room. And we've got one of those services that you can watch pretty decent movies. We're big into documentaries anyway. I am. And I don't believe everything I see in documentaries, don't get me wrong, but there was one that we watched here recently about the American buffalo. Wow, that was good. It was a 2-part series, Ken Burns deal. Pretty good, I thought. So anyway, and another one about the Dust Bowl. That was fascinating what happened in the Dust Bowl days. Holy smokes. Wow, that's something that you should watch. But anyway, so our lifestyle is that the center of what we do is right here. We get up in the morning, we go to work here, right? And then on the weekend when we're off, we stay here. We like it here. There's been a lot of times where we make plans to go someplace else, and people say, "Gee, I wish we could just stay home." It'd be a nice day or something, and you got things you want to do. Okay, let's see. We got here David Duncan. Good evening, Mark and Tribe. Better late than never. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I thought you were supposed to be here, David Duncan. Or maybe it's the charcuterie class you're coming to. Keith S. My brother has one what? 22 mag? 22 mag. They're not that expensive. The one that I got, I could count on one hand easily the number of firearms that I've purchased new. But this 22 mag, I got it new. I kept waiting for one to show up on the shelf at Ebels, and never a good utility grade showed up. I don't want something that's got a real nice stock and all that stuff. I don't need an automatic. I wanted just a bolt action, with a magazine fed, so I could have like 5-10 rounds in it. And Ruger makes what they call the American rifle. It's got a composite stock on it, or whatever, Kevlar. I really don't know what it is. Plastic, I guess. And a blued steel barrel, good smooth action, everything. Good machining techniques. It was put together really nice. And when I got it, I knew it was going to get kicked around and left in the rain and things like that. I knew that, and so I painted it. I got some brown paint, and I painted it like desert colors. I just sprayed it, and that's it. Now, if I was ever going to sell it, I would just strip the paint, and then you'd have a new gun under it. You can do that, but I don't think I will, because we've beat it up pretty good, so it'll just stay here. But when we talked about prepping, I used the term prep steading, and I kind of like that and what it means to me. And we got into it. There was a lot of conversation back and forth. There was some interesting people in this group too. There was an MD, There was an automotive engineer. There was a businessman. I don't really know what uh, his educational background was. Didn't seem to matter. Very intelligent guy. He worked for an Israeli company that did artificial intelligence, and he seemed to do really well. But all three of them, I think, were kind of looking for a little bit more sense of personal achievement in their life, a little bit more meaning, because a lot of these career fields are compartmentalized, and you just do your thing and you do it the best you can, and it's a good component that works for the greater whole, or that's how it's supposed to work, I guess. But I'm talking with this automotive engineer that's really interested and I said, well, what kind of car are you working on? And he's like, well, it hasn't come out yet, and so I don't know what the name of it is, and I probably shouldn't say anyway. Oh, okay. And I said, are we gonna like it? And he said, no, you're not gonna like it. And I thought, that's this is the Ford Motor Company that brought us the Mustang, the Shelby Cobra, right? The Torino, all those cars, all those cool muscle cars that just we liked them. And here's a new car coming off the line. Are we gonna like it? No, you're not gonna like it. You're not gonna like it at all. Then why are you building it? And that whole conversation opened up, and it led it from one thing into another, from manufacturing to pharmaceuticals to food to on and on it goes. And this is the era that we are in. This is the era that we are in. Yeah, we're building a car, but you ain't gonna like it. Why? Too much horsepower? Oh no, that's not it. No, that's not why you're not gonna like it. And he wasn't talking about me personally. It's like nobody likes the cars that are coming off the line now. Nobody, right? It may be politically correct for some weenies to have one and say, "Oh, I really like my electric car," you know. But nobody really likes them. It doesn't make a lot of sense if you've got to go for a long drive. It just doesn't make any sense. So, what I said was to these guys, I said, this is really simple. What it boils down to is we are managing calories on this field, calories being a unit measure of energy, right? And we store them on the hoof. So you see that group of 10 cows out there. Well, there's a lot of calories out there. And they are maintained quite simply by building fences and then moving them around constantly so they have fresh graze. Wow. I mean, it may really amaze people sometime that, oh, there's a method to this madness that we're doing here. And then a little closer this way, well, those are sheep. And they are right up against where the cows are, but they're separated by a fence. And the fence is built this way to keep the sheep from going through and to keep the cows from coming through. And it's very important that they don't come together. And the sheep, they're in a field where we run chicken tractors down the field. And the sheep mill around the chicken tractors, but they don't do any damage to the chicken tractors. They don't get up on top of them or anything like that. The manure from the sheep is not a problem for the chickens. The chickens' manure is not a problem for the sheep. The chickens' manure on that field makes the grass grow like crazy. And then the sheep say, okay, because we like to eat grass. So then the field stays relatively trimmed. The sheep are getting bigger and bigger every day. They're gaining pounds every day. I don't know what their rate of gain is. I'm new to sheep. And then one field closer is all of our Mangalitsa pigs. They're on a group of fields. So we have this system in place that we built it over time. And when something went wrong, we would fix it and redesign until we got it to the place where nothing went wrong as a rule. and we have a good system in place. And then we have this other system to where we can bring those animals up to the processing center, butcher shop, whatever. Processing center sounds cool, right? And then we can take them from the hoof to the package, and then they go into the freezer, or however they're going to be preserved. Maybe we're going to freeze them. Maybe we're going to salt them and cure them. Maybe we're going to smoke them. Maybe we're going to can them. Sometimes we do that. But in this processing center or the butcher shop, we can do all of that right in there. And so we get to show this, and you could see, oh, I see what you're doing. And there was one guy, and he was like, well, I don't really like what I'm doing. And, in his mind, he's kind of running out of time, being in his, late 50s, and thinking, I really want to enjoy my life, but I don't like the job that I have. Could I do what you're doing and make a living? And I said, well, if I can do it, I don't see why you couldn't do it. Because, what did I do before I came here? I didn't come out of the Air Force knowing how to do this, but now I do know how to do it because I've been at it for a while, and it just happens that it's something that I like. I mean, I like it a lot. I really like doing what I'm doing. So I think about it a lot, and I try to improve everything that I'm doing. Right. So I said to him, I don't see why you couldn't do it. But consulting is there, so you can actually hire me to help you, and then maybe you won't make a lot of the mistakes that I made. There's no reason to make mistakes when you've got other people around you that can say, hey, I wouldn't do that. That doesn't, I tried that. That doesn't work. Hey, don't step on that. Don't do that. So that was a question that came up, what is my goal here? We are not a training facility. That is not who we are. We are a farm. I don't like to say production farm, but really we are. It's just we're a limited production. Production almost kind of indicates that we're going for it. We're going to produce as much as we possibly can. Where I don't have that philosophy anymore. Not as much as I can. It's more like, what do I need plus a little more? What do I need? And my needs, a lot of it has to do with, we produce things here that we trade. And I say trade, I mean, we'll trade it for firewood or silver or ammo or fish. I got a guy that trades me fish for milk or money. We'll trade it for money. We milk cows. That all goes out. All the beef goes out. Eggs go out. Everything that we produce goes out. But I'm not of that philosophy. Let's just go for it and produce, 30,000 chickens in a summer. No. We got to maintain a balance. And when you get into those huge numbers, then we have to hire help. And then we have to have somebody to make out the checks to the people that we're employing. And that becomes a problem. And then you're managing people. That becomes a problem. We don't want to do that. We've been down that road. I would do that on a limited basis for sure. But I don't want to have a whole pile of employees either. And mostly, I think it is because I like to work. I like to work my own processes that I've put together. And I don't want to just have a bunch of employees that get to milk the cows. I like milking the cows. I milked the cows this morning was my job this morning. I'm in the rotation with everybody else. And let's see. Next time I milk again is Friday. But what a glorious thing. My 5 cows are lined up there, and all the milking equipment is working good and the stanchions are working good. Cows have their system. They're all happy. They're just happy people. They're well fed, well conditioned. The milk that's coming out of them. I just poured myself a glass right before I came in here, but I guess I set it on the table in the other room. It's so good. Ooh, so good. That's why I keep looking around, because I knew I poured a glass of milk, but then I left it on the kitchen table. All right. But the prep steading conversation was a good one. And I think that what preppers do is they store pallets and pallets and pallets of storable food, and which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but eventually it runs out. And what do? You just sit around and wait till lunch and then eat lunch and then wait till dinner and eat dinner, or are you still going to work? Well, if it's a SHTF situation, maybe you're not going to work. So you just sit around and eat all day, where the prep steader is continuing. He's continuing his operation. And I think that is where I would prefer to be. I don't want to just be hunkered down in a root cellar and what time is lunch? I don't think I want to do that. We have a book, and I've mentioned it to you guys several times. It's called 80 Acres, and it was written by a guy who grew up, and his father was a friend of the man who built this place. And oddly enough, this is really interesting. Yesterday, we're getting ready for our chicken processing people to come in. Somebody shows up in the driveway. Well, guess who it is? It's the township supervisor. And he was going by and he noticed you got a different building out there. So he figured he'd come in and check things out. And at first, I wasn't real happy about that. And but I held my tongue because he's a pretty old guy and he's been a friend for a long time. But he's basically, hey, you got a new building, so I'm going to take more money away from you. And that just really pisses me off, because they're taking money from me, a working guy, and they're going to funnel it to Jerry Nadler so he can have another prime rib, and that irritates me. But I know he's just a cog in the wheel, and he really doesn't understand what he's doing, honestly. But he referred to the man that built this place as Uncle Ben. And I said, Ben, because the man that built this place, his name was Ben Brinks. He built this house. He lived here. I said, he was your uncle? And he's like, yeah. I said, you knew him? He said, yeah. And now this guy, Dave is his name, Roosevelt. He's 82. He turned 82 today. So I'm not sure exactly when Ben died, but that'd be interesting. But anyway, Dave's going to see what he can dig up, because I'd kind of like to, get an idea of how things went on this farm before we were here. But reading the book 80 Acres, they definitely went through the Depression here, which was what? A storm. What was the Depression engineered? Oh, no, it just happened. Yeah, right. Yeah. like anything else, that we find out in history. Oh, it just happened. Like the Dust Bowl. Oh, it just happened. Yeah, no. Or what else? Lahaina. Oh, yeah, it was a wildfire. It just happened to only burn poor people's houses down. Yeah, it just happened. Have you seen the photographs of them flying along there in a helicopter, and all the places where those homes are? It's all just brown dirt. Everything's gone. It's leveled, clean. It's like they got to plant grass there. So where are all those people? Oh, yeah, we're not talking about Lahaina anymore. We're talking about Palestine. Yeah. Or I heard somebody pronounce it a weird way the other day. Palestine. We're talking about Palestine. Anyway, So, but in the book 80 Acres, they cruise through uh, the Depression, and I mean, in the book, it says the dad still had cream to put in his coffee. He still had a pouch of Red Man, chewing tobacco. And that's what he cared about. He cared about his work and then taking care of his wife, his Red Man, and milk in his coffee, cream in his coffee. That's what he cared about. So there's words of wisdom there. My Amish neighbors, they don't know what's going on in Palestine. And some of them are old. And if they were to pass away in this month, not knowing what happened in Palestine, I think they'd probably be in a better place because of it. Like, do we need to know all this information? Probably not. Probably not. And yeah, probably not. So, anyway, prep steading, good stuff. Uh, keeping yourself busy. What are some of the other stuff we talked about? Just tell him a new building isn't finished yet. You know what? He was actually pretty good to me. He said, well, if you're not going to put sides on it, then it's just a hay cover, we'll call it. And so he said, nothing should change. Cobby's with us. Covington says, I'm the exception. I feel special. You are special. You are special. That's for sure. Okay, Dave says, you can graze your sheep with cattle, just can't have the same minerals. Too much copper in the cattle minerals. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we know that. Let's see, did I miss something else that somebody said? But I got to tell you guys, I had a great time this weekend. I'm really blessed that when it comes to teaching like that, I enjoy it so much. But I really enjoyed myself. And we got to expound on the whole prep steading thing. What are some of the other things we talked about? I'm drawing a blank. Come on, Keith. What did we talk about? Well, I guess that's it. For me around here, I guess every day I kind of wake up with a new sense of urgency to get done what I'm supposed to be getting done. Let's see. Oh, I know. I had to go over to the Farm and Fleet store today to look for something that they didn't have. And I looked at those Carhartt chukka boots, I guess they call them. And like these boots that I'm wearing now that I showed you guys the other day. And they were $169. Carhartt, made in China. Good quality. Those are the boots that I've been wearing for years. And I go through 2 pairs of them a year. I mean, this Jill just gets them for me. She gets the size that I need. They look pretty much like these, but these are the Hyzea boots. And for people that are in the Tribe Plus, you get a manufacturer's discount on these boots. And I tell you what, I'm pretty happy with them. I like them better because they have 2 eyelets here, and these are $70, right? So if I go through 2 pairs of these a year, that's less than what I'm paying for 1 pair of the Carhartts. So far, I'm really happy with them. They look cool and they feel great on my feet, and I think they're going to hold up. my Carhartt ones, when they start to get weathered, they seem to curl up like this. If you were to look at them now, that's how they look. And then when I put my foot in them, this has got to straighten out for a while, and it's pretty uncomfortable for a while. But these don't seem like they're going to do that. They're maintaining. So these are probably about a month old, and they're doing really well. My Carhartts, I'm pitching them. I like to keep a lot of old shoes around because I keep thinking, well, if the wheels really fall off, I'll be lucky to have these things if I can't get them. But let's say these ones perform, I get to the 6-month mark and I'm saying, yeah, I like these. Then I will have several pairs, delivered. And I'll write on them with a magic marker the date that I got them, like right here with a Sharpie. I'll write it on there. And then I'll just make a judgment on them. And when it's time to retire them, away they go. And then I will get a replacement pair. So let's say I have, I don't know, I could see having 3 pairs of shoes. I could see that, and only wearing one pair. And then when they retire a pair, pull another pair off the shelf, break them in. I could see that. I would definitely do that because I spend a lot of time on my feet. I work with my body and I work with my brain. I'm using the whole thing. And I would do that. It's sort of like with my Leathermans. Like, I cannot leave the house without a Leatherman on my belt. It doesn't matter where I'm going. I could be going to a bar mitzvah and I would still bring my Leatherman with me. Because if I ever go out the door without it, then it's maybe 4 or 5 steps and all of a sudden I've got to fix something or something. I use it every single day. Every day I use it. So I have several Leatherman, which is the one that I use. It's the big one. Surge. Leatherman Surge. I've been carrying my stainless steel one around lately. My black one has a problem, and I'm going to have to send it back. But when you open it up, the tools fall out. They just hang out. And I haven't been able to figure out what's wrong with it. And they have these nifty screws here that you got to have a special driver. So I'll just send it back to Leatherman. And chances are they've never fixed one and sent it back. They always just send me a new one. And that's fine with me. But, you always got to have a backup to the backup. Yeah, that's about it. Yesterday I had just an outstanding day. Outstanding. It was nice. It was pretty warm, and yeah, it was really nice. And I just spent the day cleaning up and putting things back where they go. Before Homestead Hog Harvest, we had just put all the tools on the back of the truck and then just pulled it over to the garage and just left it there. And then yesterday I put all the tools away and get everything kind of squared away. So I'm in better shape now than I have been in a long time as far as winter creeping up. And I've got jobs lined up for the winter that'll be inside that I can do. So that's really nice. So is there anything we need to talk about? Yeah, Surge, Dave. Covington, what is this? I keep mine with me at all time. Now tool, I've used it many times. Yeah, Covey, we when Covey got here, we needed to get him combing his hair the right way, as we say in the military. And once you start combing your hair that way, you'll keep it going that way. So I told him, you're probably going to need one of these Leatherman. They got them over at Ebles. They got a nice one on the shelf, a Wave, and he went over there and he got one. And he's just wearing it around all the time. and now he's still wearing it. I think he's coming back. He's coming back to run our internship program, which would be good. Hey, that's something I should probably kind of broach a little bit. If you guys have people that would benefit from an internship program here, it's going to be 10 weeks in the summer. We can work with that a little bit. We'll need to know. I don't know what this is. WhatsApp self group 3. I don't know what that is. And I'm not sure how many people we're going to take in. We actually don't really have the infrastructure to have them stay. We have the land, but we don't have the buildings for them to stay in. And I'm not sure where that's going to come from. We just, if we, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'd like to have like 4 and plus 1 lead man, have Covey, and all the interns would report to him, not me, and then he would report to me. So on a daily basis, they would have just chores and then building projects in the afternoon. And I kind of think that we could start out in some hard-backed canvas tents. And then as the summer goes, some of the projects that we would do would be building projects and building cabins. And then as they're completed, then have, if we had 2 males and 2 females, then we could have a cabin for the males and then a cabin for the females. Okay, I'm getting this notification again. And that would be something that we could build throughout the summer and get them into it. I don't know. We'll have to think about that. Yeah, have the interns build their quarters. We could. Okay. All right, Covey. I'm waiting, man. I'm waiting. I knew you'd be back. You've fallen in love here. All right. Well, good. Let's keep things fluid here. If I need to come on live and brief any information, I will just do it. And I think you all get a notification. If any of you come across any information that I need to pass on to the group, please get it to me. Anything that you think is important. Yeah, it's a developing situation, as they say. All right, I'm going to get going. Thanks for coming by. Remember, anyone can farm. We do not have our consulting call tomorrow night. We're going every other week now. I don't think we have anything lined up for Thursday, but if we need to, we will come on live. All right. Good evening. Remember, anyone can farm. Stay safe.